From Farmers Branch City Hall, hello everyone and welcome to Council Countdown, where if you give us just a few minutes, we're going to bring you a rundown of everything you need to know for the next City Council meeting agenda. I'm Tom Bryson with this Council Countdown for the upcoming City Council meeting of Tuesday, May 17th, 2016. First up, after ceremonial items and a report on study session, members of the Council will consider items placed on the consent portion of the agenda. Consent items are items to be considered with action taken that may not need individual explanation or discussion during the meeting. There are a hefty 9 items on the May 17th consent agenda, so we'll get right to them. Agenda item G1 is to consider approval of the minutes of the City Council meeting held on May 3rd. Item G2 is to consider approving resolution number 2016-044, authorizing approval of a Dallas County Capital Improvement Project funding agreement with Dallas County relative to the West Side Trail connection from the Dart Farmers Branch Station to the West City Limit Line. On July 5th, 2011, a master agreement with Dallas County was approved that included the details of the responsibilities of both Dallas County and the city for administering future projects. The master agreement is not project specific, that is, and does not obligate funds on the part of either Dallas County or of the city. In fact, now Dallas County and the city must execute a funding agreement in order to initiate a project. This funding agreement provides for the funding of the West Side Trail connection. The scope of the project is a 3.3-mile multimodal trail facility beginning at the Farmers Branch Dart Station and ending at the John F. Burke Nature Preserve Campion Trail connection with an approximate trail width of 10 to 12 feet. In between those two endpoints, the trail will run through Mercer Crossing development. This connection has been planned at both the local and the regional level through VeloWeb, a regional non-motorized trail network, and the city's trail master plan. Total project expenditures are anticipated to be $3 million, with 50% funded through the county and 50% funded in the city's capital improvement program budget. Dallas County has requested that it be designated as the lead agency for the project and will start the project upon the selection of a project manager. City Administration recommends approving resolution number 2016-044. Item G3 is to consider approving resolution number 2016-052, authorizing an agreement with Pacheco Coke for professional engineering services for the design of B Street reconstruction. The B Street reconstruction design from Valley View Lane to Pepperwood Street is being funded through savings realized in the street bond program. B Street is being reconstructed in a different configuration to provide more on-street parking as part of a public-private partnership with the station area developer, Western Securities. B Street reconstruction will include relocation of utilities, reconstructing street pavement, curb and gutters, sidewalks, drive approaches, and providing parking spaces that will coordinate with the planned development. An engineering services agreement has been negotiated with Pacheco Coke for the design of the reconstruction in the amount of $98,893. The design is scheduled for completion within 120 calendar days. Pacheco Coke was selected based on their past experiences in designing street improvements within the city. After the design is complete, it will take approximately 90 days to advertise for bids, award the bid, and execute the construction contract. Construction is projected to begin by the end of this year. This item is consistent with the city's guiding principles relative to providing sustainable growth and a strong diversified economic base by engaging in aggressive economic development activities and programs, and to providing functional, sustainable, and well-maintained infrastructure, facilities, and equipment. City Administration recommends approving resolution number 2016-052. Item G4 is to consider approving resolution number 2016-049 in support of the application of Windy Ridge LLC to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for a municipal settings designation for property located at 1000 Lake Ridge Road in Lewisville, Texas. Windy Ridge LLC has applied for a municipal settings designation, or MSD, from the City of Lewisville and from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, for a 15.2-acre tract located at 1000 Windy Ridge Road in Lewisville. The tract comprises the western portion of a 28-acre planned development in Lewisville. The City of Lewisville approved an MSD property designation pursuant to City of Lewisville Ordinance number 4227-11-2015, approved on November 16, 2015. The MSD designated property and surrounding properties are currently used for commercial and residential purposes. An approved MSD prohibits the use of shallow groundwater beneath the MSD property and adjacent street rights-of-way as potable water and appropriately restricts other uses of and contact with the shallow groundwater at the MSD property. Farmers Branch has a drinking water well located at 524 Huffines Road in Louisville that is located within 5 miles of the MSD designated property. The Farmers Branch drinking water well is founded in the Trinity Aquifer. Groundwater at the property is encountered at the uppermost aquifer at depth ranging from 18 to 23 feet below the ground surface, and the flow is generally to the southeast away from the drinking water well. The groundwater has been impacted with nitrate. The impacted aquifer is approximately 900 feet above the Trinity Aquifer, in which the Farmers Branch well is founded, and is separated by the Eagle Ford Shale Formation, the Woodbine Aquifer, and several limestone and clay formations comprising the Washita and Fredericksburg groups. Concentrations of the chlorinated volatile organic compounds have proven to be stable in some monitoring wells and decreasing in others. Based on the lateral distance between the designated property and the Farmers Branch well, the presence of aquatards between the impacted aquifer and the Trinity Aquifer is highly unlikely that the presence of nitrates in the shallow groundwater at the MSD site will affect the water quality of the City of Farmers Branch well. As such, City Administration recommends approving Resolution number 2016-049. Item G5 is to consider adopting Ordinance number 3371, approving a negotiated settlement between the Atmos Cities Steering Committee and the Atmos Energy Corporation Mid-Tex Division that adopts new natural gas rates for the City of Farmers Branch. The City of Farmers Branch is served by the Atmos Energy Corporation Mid-Tex Division. The city is also a member of the Atmos Cities Steering Committee, or ACSC, a coalition of approximately 165 cities that unite to address gas, utility rate, and franchise issues related to Atmos Energy Corporation. The rate review mechanism, or RRM tariff, was originally adopted by the steering committee member cities in 2007 as an alternative to the Gas Reliability Infrastructure Program, or GRIP. The statutory provision that allows Atmos to bypass the city's rate regulatory authority to increase its rates annually to recover capital investments. The RRM tariff has been modified several times, most recently in 2013. Now, in March of 2016, Atmos Mid-Tex filed for its 4th annual filing under the renewed RRM tariff, seeking an increase of $35.4 million in additional revenues on a system-wide basis. If the company had used the GRIP process rather than the RRM process, it would have received about a $41 million increase, or about $11 million more than will be approved by the ordinance. The steering committee and Atmos Mid-Tex have reached an agreement reflected in the ordinance to reduce the company's request by $5.5 million, such that the ordinance approving new rates reflects an increase of $29.9 million on a system-wide basis. The ordinance and settlement tariffs approve rates that will increase Atmos Mid-Tex revenues by $29.9 million for the Mid-Tex rate division, effective for bills rendered on or after June 1st. Now, the monthly bill impact for the typical residential customer will be an increase of about $1.26, or 2.43%. The typical commercial customer will see an increase of about $3.81, or 1.3%. The steering committee's executive committee and its designated legal counsel and consultants recommend that all cities adopt the ordinance with its attachments approving the negotiated rate settlement, resolving the 2016 rate review mechanism filing, and implementing the rate change. City Administration recommends approving ordinance number 3371. Item G6 is to consider approving resolution number 2016-040, authorizing submission of an application to Dallas County for fiscal year 2016 Dallas Community Development Block Grant Program for Shoredale Lane water and sewer replacement projects. Community Development Block Grants, or CDBG eligible projects, are those that improve or maintain existing low to moderate income neighborhoods, promote low income homeownership, or eliminate community threatening conditions. Examples of eligible projects include water and sewer replacements, road projects, park rehabilitation, and sidewalk projects. The existing asbestos cement water line in Shoredale Lane is more than 33 years old, and the existing clay tile sewer lines are more than 49 years old and require high levels of maintenance. Two areas of the city meet the qualifications for the required low to moderate income standard for CDBG funds. One area is generally bounded by Spring Valley Lane, Josie Lane, Dennis Lane, Valley View Lane, and the Interstate 35 East northbound service road. The other area is generally bounded by Fike Road, Dennis Lane, Valwood Parkway, Ivanwood Lane, Janwood Lane, and Josie Lane. On April 14, 2015, the Dallas County Commissioners Court approved changes to the Dallas County CDBG program. Funding will now be provided on an every other year basis so that one half of the cities participating in the program will receive funding one year and the remaining cities the next. In their particular funding year, cities will receive approximately twice the annual amount of funding that they received under the old program. Now, for fiscal year 2016, the City of Farmers Branch is eligible to receive $219,773 in CDBG funds from Dallas County. Dallas County will be holding public hearings on May 17th and June 21st, a requirement by Dallas County to encourage public input. The project has been identified for the fiscal year 2016 CDBG funding is the replacement of approximately 1,350 linear feet of existing water line in Shoredale Lane from Hollandale Lane to Fike Road and 327 linear feet of existing sanitary sewer line in Shoredale Lane from Rollingdale Lane to 27 feet north of Starcrest Lane. This project will consist of replacing all the main service lines, valves, fire hydrants, and manholes. Preparation for the plans and specifications would begin later this year, with the project being bid and constructed in the second quarter of 2017. The fiscal year 2016 CDBG application deadline is June 1st. This item is consistent with the Council's guiding principles, which are to provide functional, sustainable, and well-maintained infrastructure, facilities, and equipment. City Administration recommends approval of Resolution number 2016-040. And we're only up to G7. Item G7 is to consider adopting Ordinance number 3372, amending Chapter 34 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Farmers Branch, Texas by adding Article 12 entitled Municipal Settings Designation that provides municipal settings designation ordinances prohibiting the use of groundwater in areas designated as contaminated, establishing a penalty or fine, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a repealing clause, and providing an effective date. Groundwater contamination in commercial, industrial, and undeveloped areas within municipalities creates multiple and often conflicting issues for local governments. Groundwater that is contaminated can be a public health issue if ingested. Therefore, state regulations typically require investigation and remediation of the contaminated groundwater to a level that can support potable water use. However, in some city locations, no one uses groundwater as potable water in the vicinity of the contaminated groundwater zone, and there is no plan to use that groundwater as potable water in the future because public water supply that relies on another source of water is available. In 2003, the 78th Texas Legislature passed a Municipal Settings Designation, or MSD, legislation that relates to the potability of groundwater and the requirements for removing contaminants from groundwater. The law authorizes the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or TCEQ, to receive, process, and certify MSD applications for properties with contaminated groundwater that are located in cities or their extraterritorial jurisdictions. The TCEQ can certify an application only if there is local city support. The city in which the property is located has the choice to either support or not support an MSD application. Therefore, MSD certification is significantly controlled by the city. The MSD law provides an alternative to persons addressing the groundwater contamination they're responsible for causing, as well as to persons who volunteer to address groundwater contamination. The MSD law sets conditions for MSD properties that limit requirements for contaminated groundwater to be investigated and remediated to make sure the groundwater is suitable for use as potable water when that groundwater is not otherwise used for potable water and will not be used for potable water in the future. By providing this alternative way to address contaminated groundwater, persons may be more inclined to develop and redevelop properties in municipal areas that have contaminated groundwater. A presentation was given to the City Council that provided background information as well as the benefits and potential issues with enacting a municipal settings designation ordinance for Farmers Branch. Based on guidance from the City Council, an MSD ordinance has been drafted to allow applicants that own property in Farmers Branch that overlies contaminated groundwater to apply for city support for an MSD through the TCEQ. City Administration recommends approving Ordinance number 3372. Item G8 is to consider adopting ordinance number 3366, amending the City of Farmers Branch Code of Ordinances, Chapter 82, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 2, Division 6, Section 82-95, amending no parking zones on portions of Richland Avenue. The city has been notified that during recent events at or around Cox Park, property owners exiting Sundown Trail, Stardust Lane, and Birch Lawn Drive onto Richland Avenue are experiencing sight visibility issues with oncoming traffic due to cars being parked along the north side of Richland Avenue between Dennis Lane and Birch Lawn. The City Council approved an ordinance in 1971 prohibiting parking along the south side of Richland Avenue from its intersection on the east side of Goodwater Street to the point of its intersection with the west side of Birch Lawn Drive. City staff and police department have determined vehicles parked along the north side of Richland between Dennis and Birch Lawn create sight visibility issues for vehicles entering and exiting the streets along Sundown Trail, Stardust Lane, and Birch Lawn Drive. In the interest and safety of our residents and to allow better traffic movement along Richland Avenue, City Administration recommends amending the Code of Ordinances by establishing a no parking zone along the north side of Richland Avenue between its east intersection of Dennis Lane and its west intersection of Birch Lawn. City Administration also recommends that the prohibition of parking on the south side of Richland between Goodwater and Dennis be maintained, but that the Code of Ordinances be amended to remove the no parking zone on Richland between Dennis and Birch Lawn. The net effect will be to move the cars presently parking on the north side of Richland between Dennis and Birch Lawn to the south side of the street between those same intersections. City Administration recommends approving ordinance number 3366. And item G9 is to consider excusing the absence of City Council member Mike Baumgartner from the May 3rd, 2016 City Council meeting. As a matter of practice, the City Council has excused the absence of a City Council member when a member has a pre-noticed excusable absence. By excusing an absence, the City Council member is not penalized with using one of the 3 unexcused absences allowed under the City Charter. The City Council may wish to consider excusing the absence of Councilmember Mike Baumgartner from the May 3rd, 2016 City Council meeting. That was it for the consent agenda. Here are the rest of the items before the Council in their regular session at this upcoming meeting. Agenda item H1 is to consider, to conduct a public hearing and to consider adopting ordinance number 3370, approving a specific use permit for a conference center or commercial indoor amusement facility located at 4445 Sigma Road. Item H2 is to conduct a public hearing and to consider adopting resolution number 2016-050, approving a detailed site plan for a warehouse and office building located at 2424 Richland Avenue. Agenda item I1 is to consider adopting resolution number 2016-047, awarding the bid for the reconstruction of Valley View Lane from Josie Lane to Webb Chapel to McMahon Contracting Company, LP. And item I2 is to consider approving resolution number 2016-054, authorizing the execution of a residential demolition rebuild program incentive agreement for the owner of the property at 3507 Apple Valley Drive. The Council may recess into closed session, but will then reconvene into regular session to take any necessary action. And that will do it for the May 17th agenda. Every regular meeting of the Farmers Branch City Council can be seen live on FBTV. That is Time Warner Cable Channel 16 in Farmers Branch, AT&T U-verse Channel 99 throughout the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, or online at www.farmersbranchtx.gov. This City Council information program will be made available simultaneous to agenda posting on the Friday before each regular City Council meeting and will air prior to the live meeting as well as before all Council meeting replays here on FBTV. That replay schedule is at 6 p.m. 7 days a week. In the meantime, the May 17th meeting of the City Council starts at 6 p.m. Tuesday evening here at Farmers Branch City Hall. We hope to see you here. Until then, for everyone here in the studio, I'm Tom Bryson. You're watching Council Countdown on FBTV. We'll see you next time.